All right, that's that sound. That's that sound, my brother. All right, you're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. This is season 2, round 7. What's going on, my brother?
A little bit of everything, man. A lot of straightening happening, a little bit of straightening. The dominoes are falling.
Oh yeah.
A lot of claims have been made. A lot of things have been backed up. Now it's time to just, everybody to stand on their position, man. We talking Wilder Fury in the aftermath. We talking everything that's happening right now, man. Let's get to it.
All right, definitely. Okay, big fight this weekend. Everybody wants to hear, King Amin of Essex 1 has to say about it. But first, make sure you plug your show on Thursdays and Sundays and plug the blog, King Amin of Essex 1 on Instagram.
Definitely. That's where you're going to get all the news and notes. King Amin of Essex 1 on Instagram. Also, to find us here on King Amin of Essex 1 for them championship rounds. I'm also putting some of the blog posts on the page, and I got the little jewels and gems for you. Definitely don't forget to check me out on the Boxing Voice TBV podcast. That's where I'm at, making my bones continuing to reign supreme as the only King Amin of Essex can do.
All right. So without further ado, we're gonna, get right into it. Fury versus Wilder 3, highly anticipated, lots of twists and turns along the way, right? We finally got it last night. A lot of action, right? Got a heavyweight bout, a lot of action, a lot of eyes on the fight. So again, we know the Bronx Bomber put Fury down 2 times in the 4th round. Ends up getting stopped in the 11th. A lot of people have a lot to say kind of about how the fight unfolded. You got your Deontay Wilder fans, I don't want to say fans, but so let's say supporters, focusing on what they feel he did well in the fight. A lot of individuals who support Tyson Fury are kind of, I don't want to say that this fight cemented his legacy. We'll let you give your choice, your opinion on that. But a lot of people have their opinion on whether this is the final stamp on, questions if there were any about his greatness. But it was a great performance. We know that. He put down Wilder 3 times. So let's start off just with your general impressions of the fight, and then I kind of got some questions for you. But what was your impressions and any surprises?
Yo, I proclaimed my pick, but I'm a man of my word. I said, if Tyson Fury wins this fight, he has the right to talk that talk. So let him keep talking that talk. I said that, so I'm gonna honor that. The fight, I think, was an amazing and an excellent fight. Please don't compare it to the Thriller in Manila. Please don't compare it to Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. You guys are too young. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. The fight was a perfect culmination of the first 2, meaning you had Wilder's most impressive offensive feats, reaccomplished, and you had Fury's best, strategies and best laid plans executed 2 times in a row.
Right.
So really, the fight was as good as it could have been given the circumstances. What I mean by that is, if Deontay Wilder wasn't going to continue to implement some of the improvements that he showed us on Instagram, that's why I told you, even with Ryan, if I call out Ryan Garcia about being an Instagram fighter with the circle jerk hands,
right,
all the shit Wilder and Malik Scott was spitting the water out and all that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When
so explain that a little bit to, because you was explaining it to me a couple of weeks ago. Explain that to anybody who might not realize what the term when they use Instagram fighter, what that kind of might refer to.
So here's the thing, man, and I think we can really hit socially and publicly when we talk about this, and really it's what you're producing and what you're projecting on social media. I'd like to think everybody has a good time. You use it for what it's for, but some moments, if you really in the trenches, you yourself may not have time to stage it. Perhaps you even look at how I rock out. You know what I'm saying? I'm in this media thing, but I don't always have time to stage a background. So when you talk about a fighter, nonetheless, on social media, when they have so many fighting and training moments that are presented for social media,
right,
and that success or that doesn't translate into what they're doing in the ring, you're going to get that label of an internet fighter. You're going to get the label of a personal trainer. that just work the heavy bag and you look good as fuck on the bag, but you may not have as much sparring and things of that nature. You don't have any amateur background. You might have been down to the Boys and Girls Club, whatever your situation is. You know, you have to be certain that the skills you're projecting on the internet are consistent with what you're able to do and not just something you're staging for this internet moment. So we talked about those moments, you know what I'm saying? Malik Scott spitting out the water. I said, you know, I looked at it and say, you know, I looked at it in the premise of mind games. Everybody's got to play mind games, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, you do have to be careful because when you show technique, you know, what we were expecting, especially them hooks to the body, we was expecting that at least from Wilder because he showed a lot of it on the internet. So, you know, it didn't go that way, man. But the fight went the way I believe that it could have. And apparently it went the way it should have. And none of us have the final word on it except for Tyson Fury. That's the amazing part.
So a couple of specific questions. What do you think Wilder kind of struggled with the most, specifically through your eyes? And if you were his trainer and we were going back 3 weeks ago or even now playing Monday morning quarterback, right? What would you have changed about the game plan? What do you think he either should have implemented or didn't?
You know, I'm gonna be real with you. You know me, I've always, you know, I don't know about the weight gain. You know what I'm saying? There's a time in my life where I was a portly fellow, so I always knew I could rock out despite my girth. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't never been no muscular dude. What I do know is all the muscular dudes I fought, the muscles never meant anything. Now, ideally, you're thinking the muscles are supposed to prepare him to fight this fucking Kodiak bear he in there with, this big fucking polar bear, you know what I'm saying? A boxing bear, you dig? What did he do wrong? If the game plan was how he started in the beginning of the fight, working the body, he either expended too much energy on that because he doesn't have the tank that he should. He doesn't run. He said he doesn't jog. Either the muscle didn't allow him to be consistent with his stamina, or he just an old dog. Some of them you can't teach new tricks. But he was not disciplined enough. And the reason why I can really attribute it to the discipline is because Malik Scott was fair enough to keep telling him, yo, you got to stay alert. That shit you doing gonna get you hurt. Like it's what you got to do. He was giving him the game plan, but Wilder really didn't adhere, nor did he adapt. He reverted and he regressed.
All right. So I got to ask you just about two things. One, I mean, just are you surprised at this point about kind of Tyson Fury, you know, his kind of conditioning? Because again, you know, we can't go, I mean, just in terms of watching the fight, you know, a lot of people, you know, where it becomes most notable is, you know, what this podcast is named after, right? The championship rounds, in terms of, you know, Fury's offense hitting, you know, Wilder with that right hand, you know, which set up really the end of the fight, in my humble opinion. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that, you know, after somebody who's been on the canvas, that can't be anything but getting stronger as the fights go on, right? And we've kind of talked about that. And to me, from where I stand, you know, that's a different level of a fighter, because not only is that you got to be in top physical condition, but, you know, mentally, you know, you got to know that your mind is going to quit on you way before your body, right? So I guess what I'm asking is, were you surprised? Are you surprised by that? But at this point, and how does that kind of weigh with the comments you get from certain people, probably Wilder supporters or whatever, kind of talking about, you know, accusing Fury of kind of like holding, leaning, you know, keeping the fight close, like that.
That's boxing, bro. Like, you know, people have to understand that they should be more fans of the sport and not, you know me, lifelong Green Bay Packers fan. But if something happened to Aaron Rodgers, I'm not abandoning the team because of Aaron Rodgers. So, you know, I'm not abandoning the sport because a guy that I favored in the fight lost.
Right.
Tyson Fury, he boxed like a big ass Bernard Hopkins. Was people complaining what Bernard Hopkins was doing it? They was calling it a masterclass, right? Especially the same people that might also be fans of Deontay Wilder. Let me just say it like that, right?
Right.
So it's boxing and it's a part of the sport. It's dirty. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Oh, by the way, Sean Porter kind of fight like that. He's just small, but imagine if he was tall, he'd be leaning on motherfuckers the same way. So come on, man. Those are people that are reluctant. Oh, so let me talk about it. Those are the same kind of people like Deontay Wilder that will be reluctant to go and just shake the man's hand with a little honor. Like, yo, this is the thing. When you a warrior, and I know many cats that have been there after it's over, at some point when you encounter your adversary, it ain't as up as it was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you had 3 fights with this guy, and the way he put you down the last time, you know what I'm saying?
You should have nothing but respect for him.
I would have got up and smiled and be like, yo, 60 million, and shook his hand.
Good.
You dig?
I mean, but I think that kind of, and maybe this is me, but that kind of puts a lot of things in perspective, right? Like all the excuses, from one excuse to another excuse to another excuse. So he's a tough guy. We know that. He's a skilled boxer. He's one of the best, right? But if we're talking about the type of guy now this is a different discussion, right?
Sure.
You can also point at him as the type of guy that doesn't want to take any accountability, right?
Yeah.
Because because there's always an excuse when you lose, you know what I'm saying? And you can't even give the person who beat you credit.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different conversation, but obviously skilled, obviously, one of the best we've ever, well, not best we've ever seen, but you know what I mean? One of the best that's doing it right now.
Definitely a devastating KO puncher, just defended his title honorably.
Right.
A lot of great things to say about Deontay Wilder as a fighter. But like I said, as for me, if you love the sport, you'll do your best to call things fairly down the line. And again, you cannot throw out the baby with the bathwater. If the fighter you favored doesn't win the fight, you shouldn't make excuses for the fighter, and you would like to support the fighter that also doesn't make excuses for himself either. If it was a blatant robbery, cool. So for example, J-Rock, you can say he got robbed if you understand boxing, because you're like, yo, he tried to put rounds in the bank. But if you don't stop somebody from coming forward, even if you're making their face ugly, some people like that aggressive, effective pressure. You know what I'm saying? And then you backing up on the ropes and you rolling shit instead of throwing back. You're giving away rounds in some people's eyes. So, he ain't make no excuses. You know what I'm saying? It's just some people do and some people don't. You lose and you take the lesson as opposed to just the loss, man.
Right. All right. So 2 more questions. Surprised by Fury's power at all?
Nah, man, because he did it the first time. You know what I'm saying? And I know there was, questions about the egg weights and this and that. And the thing is, all those questions were answered this time around. So no, nobody should be surprised at a 270-pound man. Again, he's like the size of a baby bear. Like, you know what I'm saying? That shit's gonna hurt. Don't matter who it is. You know what I'm saying?
It looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think is next for Deontay Wilder?
I like a fight between him and Anthony Joshua.
Oh.
They both got 2 losses. They both, have questionable. They both have different degrees of questionable status as far as the heavyweight division. People question, is Wilder a one-trick pony? Can he beat everybody except for Fury? And they're always going to question AJ. Is he tough enough? Is he hard enough? Is his mind there, kind of thing. Put those 2 guys in the ring. They both got 2 losses. That's an intriguing fight to me. Yeah. And that was a fight that was supposed to happen, coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. And as far as, again, when you talk about accountability or character, AJ's mentioned that he would like to fight. Of course, he's got the rematch with Usyk, but win or lose, right? Say, the interesting thing is, say he beats Usyk for whatever reason somehow, not that I wouldn't like to see that. Say he says, nah, I'm not even going to fight Fury. I'm going to give Deontay Wilder a shot. I owe him a shot, and I think I can beat him. That's interesting.
Yeah, man, that's a good point. It's a good point, man. All right, so we're gonna move on to something a little bit different. This is a good story. So we're gonna talk about 2 programs. I don't know if they're nonprofit programs, but everybody should check them out. One is called Guns Down, Gloves Up. The other one is 730 Fights. The founder of Guns Down, Gloves Up, Jarrell Brown. This program is a focus on ending teen violence, right, or helping manage it through boxing. but both of the programs, kind of encourage teens to pick up gloves, not, guns, and to learn, boxing as a way to manage, not only like stress, anxiety, but just to learn lessons about life. You know what I'm saying? Um, and again, when we was reading about this, I felt like this is important because you got the you got the psychological and the mental aspect of it in terms of health wise, right? You teaching them actual boxing skills and it manage anxiety, all these other things, depression, all the positive benefits that come from it. But most of these programs, they also do other things too, right? Like at least 730, well, Guns Down, Gloves Up, they doing financial literacy, credit building, mental health, references or whatever. So again, nothing but respect to these brothers for this. And what do you think about this program?
So let's go back a bit, man. When we talked about that sportsmanship aspect, that Deontay Wilder, again, I'll be the one to stand on. I think he lacked that element of sportsmanship, and that's an element of character as a man, right? So think about it, right? These organizations are saying you can come, right? Put your dickies up. Nobody don't got to die. Nobody don't got to get poked up. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Jay, as kids, man, Pop Warner, they line you up and make you do what?
Oklahomas.
What I'm saying, you shake hands, right?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about like if you had a problem with somebody on the team, no, it's the same kind of thing.
You get what I'm saying? But it's a way to work it out. You know what I'm saying? It's a way to work it out. And then there's a resolution and then like, yo, there's some finality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everybody go opposing side. You know what I'm saying? And the kids nowadays, I've seen it, you know what I'm saying? They may not slap hands, but you walk past, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to look that person in the eye. This dude didn't go to the press conference or nothing. So boom, 7:30 fights, gloves up, guns down. And even in the UK, gloves up, knives down. Like everywhere where they have these types of organizations, it's instilling that you have more of a long-term opportunity to exist peacefully,
right,
than you do to hold that grudge. That grudge will not last. So what, you lose the fight, you're gonna come back with a gun or not? No, if you lose, be able to shake that man's hand. If you lose, and so I congratulate not only the organizations, but the people that participate, that they find the reason within themselves to go and say, yeah, we could have been out here, causing a madness in the streets, but guess what? I might go up here and get knocked out by old boy, but guess what? Next time we see each other, I might want to see him again in the ring. Or that shit we was beefing with wasn't even about nothing,
I mean, listen, man, I think this is important because like just kind of reading about the founders and some of the reasons why they were establishing these organizations, like they were talking a lot about like trauma, right? That the kids was going through. And for some people who may, it may seem harsh to some people who are kind of, not used to, they might be like, well, why are they encouraging them to fight at all? You know what I mean? But people have to understand the reality of, a lot of kids in this world are in environments and communities, where that's the level of violence people are taking it to.
Absolutely.
I'm not even gonna say that's what they choose to do. I'm saying that is what the level of violence that people are enforcing in that environment. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, don't necessarily have all the choice that people might think, right? So they were talking just a lot about the trauma. And again, this guy, he said he started the program because I guess he owns a business and two of his employees had a problem with each other, and he heard them talking about getting a gun or something, right? So he kind of suggested that they solve it another way, right? And it kind of translates to life, right? Because how many of us responsible adults, have been in a situation where, you want to encourage two young people either to talk it out or if they have to, if they feel like they got to get the physical aggression out, to get it out and leave it there, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we got to give them a lot of credit for that, man.
No, definitely, man. And it's such a, like I said, it's such a valuable lesson to learn at conflict resolution, even saying that makes it seem like it's some sort of great broad technique, but really it's, it's an element of humanity, you know what I'm saying? Humility and humanity as a man. Sometimes you don't always come out on top, and you got to know that. So whether it's a humbling experience, whether it's physical or sometimes it's a mental experience, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
that humbles you, man. You got to know you might go get your ass kicked out here. Everybody need to know that.
But see, that's why I think that's what I was trying to say about Deontay Wilder earlier, and I was hoping, like, I was trying to give him as much credit as possible for his physical attributes and his talent in the ring, right? But what we were talking about when we say warrior, to me that's a different element, right? Because warrior, you have a different type of respect for even your enemy. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
As long as they rise to a certain level, you got respect for your enemy.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you got to sit down at the table with him and y'all could go at war forever, but you're going to respect him some more than people that are walking next to you, because everybody is not a warrior. So whether they're on your side or the other side, you're only going to hate them because they're not with you. You know what I mean? But the type of character in the metal is different. So, again, and we talk about different sports sometimes in this, but the great Kobe Bryant always comes to mind, right? Because again, look at some of the battles he had with Ron Artest.
Yeah.
Right. When they was on different teams, right?
Even him and Matt Barnes.
Right, him and Matt Barnes, but that's when we get into this mentality, but not to get off topic too much, but we're talking about character traits, right? That extend beyond whatever your physical talent is, and how accomplished you are in the field. So that's why I said that, not to chip away at all at what he's accomplished, because that stands on its own, but to not be able to shake somebody's hand after you've accomplished all of that says a lot as well.
Yeah. And I think, we have to be fair in terms of the balance, in terms of certainly what I want to represent in terms of my character. I definitely have to make mention of that, because, what would make me follow a particular fighter or follow a particular team or something, that's the things, as they say, the things money can't buy, Right. It's one of those things money can't buy, but it's of high value, and it creates and adds to your character, man. So, shout out to them organizations, shout out to all those guys that choose to participate and do that sort of thing. And shout out to just people on a regular day-to-day basis that, you choose to go the other way, or you choose to work it out another way. Or shit, even if you put the gloves on with your homies, man, you know what I'm saying? Get that shit out y'all system, man. It's a very healthy thing to do, man.
No doubt. All right, so we're gonna move on as we always do. We're gonna go to school today. We're gonna do the ABCs of boxing. Of course, this season we've been doing like historical figures, or just people that's just important to the game. So who did you pick this week? And then we'll kind of get into what we do.
Well, Jay, I gotta say, man, I think is it time to say Tyson Fury? Okay. Is it time to say Tyson Fury?
We've been talking about it, behind the scenes for a little bit. So I think, listen, I think it is, you know what I mean? Because we've talked about before, there's a difference between hoping somebody loses or liking the other guy or wanting the other guy to win, and the other guy clearly losing.
Yeah.
The other guy clearly lost and was clearly outclassed. So it's time. So let's talk about him.
Yo, he looked like a fucking bear with Larry Holmes' jab, bro. Yo, that boy is rough, man, rough.
So if you had to like kind of describe his style to somebody who was learning about boxing on their first week, how would you describe it?
I would describe him as a fleet-footed, complete boxer. Okay. His footwork is very good. When I say complete boxer, I mean inside and out. He can box from a distance with, like I said, with that flicking jab. He can also flick the jab and then, parry. He can flick the jab, parry with the right if you got something coming back, and he can flick the jab and then turn it into a left hook. Very subtle techniques. I watched him come in with a shift. He took a step forward and kind of hit Wilder. Bernard Hopkins shit. Hit Wilder with his head. You know what I'm saying? Hit Wilder with his head. Boom. And then came up in the clinch. And then when the ref made him break it up, popped that jab up at him in the right, and then hook him again, put him under his arm. It's all boxing. It's rough shit. It's shit you do when you try to back somebody down and you say, yo, this guy box, I'm a fighter.
Right.
But I mean, it's and then to watch him get up off the canvas and get back to it. You know, what he calls resting was that clinching that people hated, but you know, he was, you know, popping the man and then wearing him down. Cause like I said, he was winging off that jab, and turning it into a left hook. That created a lot of problems for Wilder. That's what he did at a distance. And when it was close, forget about it. He used his head, he used a forearm a little bit. He went to the body. Just again, how would I describe him? A boxing bear, like Larry Holmes, you know what I mean? A fucking bear with Larry Holmes jab. And you'll be like, what? Like, yeah. If Larry Holmes looked like a fucking grizzly bear, that's Tyson Fury.
Any, like before, like kind of all of this started, any note, like what was the notable, like any notable fights or opponents that he had before Wilder?
Well, Klitschko was kind of where he made his bones, because Klitschko was the unified guy, even though you know, he had some issues going on or whatever, you know, in terms of his wife or whatever. That was the one where he made his bones. And then of course, there weren't any real notable fights, but when he started coming stateside, he started getting more attention for the technique he used against who he fought. So for example, when he fought Malik Scott, who trained Wilder, you know, people was like, you know, the boy can move a little bit. When he fought Otto Wallin, I think he's a Swedish cat who's about to fight Dillian White. That's when he shoulder rolling on the ropes, and again, hands down, popping and jab, throwing bolo punches. Really, you know, he came out with the Apollo Creed outfit again. Not just the stage, you know, show, just the technical prowess in that fight. You know, being able to fight off the back foot, but also come forward. That's what I mean about being a complete fighter. There are some fighters that fight their entire career off the back foot, and they do so very well, and they engage, you know, in certain moments in a fight. This guy can come forward and maul you the whole fight if he wants to.
Right.
Or he can fight off the back foot and roll punches if he wants to. That's complete.
Yeah.
Complete as it gets.
Hell yeah, man. All right, so you know, we already know why you picked him. So again, what we always ask, if we start in a video game and building a fighter, what part of Fury's game would you use and why?
You know, I already took somebody else's jab. I already took, I think, somebody else's footwork, man. But you know what? I'm trying to think, what can we get from the mighty Tyson Fury, man? Maybe it's if I had to describe it, and I may have took one of the a guy like James Scott or I think Muhammad Qawi, but I think I would take his inside fighting, at least. You know what? I would take his what I would call this aspect of his ring generalship, that ability to fight coming forward, mauling, and ability to fight off the back foot, to be such a big man. I mean, you know, the only guy, like smaller guys are doing what he does. You know, the Earl Spencers and the Terrence Crawfords, those are the guys that's doing what he does, you know? And this guy is 6'9", 270 something pounds doing that kind of stuff. Go figure.
All right, man. So listen, last but not least, before we kind of get out of here, you got to plug, let people know where they can find you on Thursdays and Sundays. And of course, you want to plug the blog, King Amin of Essex 1 on IG, you know?
Definitely, for sure. Go and check out the blog, King Amin of Essex 1 on Instagram for all your news and notes, Saturday boxing, the morning after, everything you need to find out. Also, don't forget to check me out on the Boxing Voice TBV podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to check us out here, right? On for the championship rounds, King Amin of Essex 1 right here on YouTube. Also uploading some new content. So definitely be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment, like, share, subscribe, and definitely meet us back here next week in each and every episode.
All right, my brother. 100.
Peace.
Next week.